What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bryan Casella. Welcome back to another video. I've had it with a lot of this nonsense that we see going on in the world, and I'm going to start doing videos like this now that I have a new streaming software, Restream, and I'm kind of getting more of a hang of doing this techie stuff. All right. So today, Gloria Allred and Dave Rubin jumped on a news channel, and I don't normally watch this stuff, but this one just got recommended to me and I watched it, and they're discussing the vaccine mandates, and Gloria's for it. Dave is against it. Now, obviously, you guys know, if you didn't, I'm against it. I think it's absolutely preposterous, but I'm going to go through the video now, refute her talking points live, and break this down, because this is just madness, and the stuff coming out of her mouth, I just can't believe a rational human being would even say something like that. All right. So let's get right into it. And I may skip through it a little bit, but I'm going to be going through piece by piece. Okay. So let's do it.
Gloria Allred on the left and Dave Rubin on the right, debating each other for the first time. All right, Dave, let's start with you. I know this is an issue you're especially passionate about. What do you make of California's vaccine mandates?
Oh, it's completely ridiculous, like the federal vaccine mandates are. To be very clear, I think that if anyone wants to get the vaccine and they want to wear a mask and they want to stay at home or whatever that they want to do, you absolutely have that right, and you should consult with your doctor, and you should take into account your age and your health and medical history, all of those things. The idea that
Yes, I agree so far.
year and a half after 2 weeks to flatten the curve, a phrase that we don't talk about anymore. Did we ever flatten the curve? Why don't we talk about that curve anymore? The idea that now it's about some sort of magical, as Joe Biden said, which is what Gavin Newsom's alluding to, it's about some sort of 97 or 98% government mandated vaccine. And then for kids, kids have a 0.002% chance of dying from COVID. That is CDC numbers as of March. Everyone else is getting vaccinated, in essence. So the teachers are vaccinated, the administrators are vaccinated. We know kids aren't sharing it with each other. This is just constant government overreach. And where are the good liberals? You know, California is supposed to be a liberal state. Liberals
Yes.
used to fight for individual rights and civil liberties, but they've just folded in the name of progressive authoritarianism.
Gloria,
Facts.
are you a good liberal?
You know, I'm a progressive, proud progressive, I might add, but I also believe in science. And this
Sure you do.
is really not about rights.
This is not about rights. Okay, so let's start. Science states that this has a 99.7% survival rate. So what we're doing between mandates, lockdowns, and everything else is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. 100%. Right? And it's not about rights. Let's keep listening.
It's about life and death. And of course, kids can also be carriers.
Life and death, 99.7% survival rate, lady. And most people actually are higher than 99.7%.
Of COVID. And in addition to that, I think it's really important to understand this is not a political issue. It shouldn't be. It should be a scientific and a health issue. And I ask you, Dave.
What happened to HIPAA with medical privacy? When have we ever seen something like this happen? And we're going to break this down later on in the video, but this is absolutely preposterous. 99.7% survival rate. Like, are you kidding me?
Do you think there should not be a mandate for kids in schools to have to get vaccine for chickenpox, for mumps, for polio, for so many other vaccines that they...
Okay, now we can unpack this a million different ways. That stuff has been around. Those have been researched more, and those had a much higher mortality rate and were a million times worse than COVID. It's ridiculous. What they don't mention as well, there's exemptions. There's medical exemptions, right? There's religious exemptions. There's other exemptions stating that if somebody uses that, they don't have to get the vaccines. There's kids who go to school without those vaccines because of the exemptions. What people are missing is with COVID, there are no exemptions no matter what, which is 100% illegal. Illegal. Plus, the difference is that's school. You can still participate in society. What they're doing with these vaccine mandates is you can't do anything. In California, you can't even go out anymore or do anything. It's ridiculous. To go to clubs, bars, to go to anything outdoor, you need to show your vaccine card. I brought up HIPAA earlier, which is a medical privacy. I can't go around asking people if, oh, do you have AIDS and all this other stuff? Have you gotten your measles vaccine? That's illegal. That's illegal. Like, how is this even a question, dude? Like, this is the type of stuff that upsets me so much because people can't see the holes in what these individuals are saying. And this lady's a lawyer? Are you kidding me? And they're putting these people on national TV? Like, are you like, this has to be a bad movie. Like, it really does. Like, everything coming out of that person's mouth is absolutely absurd.
They are required to have in order
Gloria,
to go to school.
All of those things were tested for years. As we know, we rushed out this vaccination. But this is not, I'm not saying people should not get vaccinated. I'm saying it should be. You just said something very, very dangerous right there for a lawyer. This is not about rights. Since when is it not about rights? In the United States, we have God-given rights that are protected under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if we're suddenly saying, oh, this isn't about rights because there is some virus
Looks like she has that fluoride stare
out there with basically a 99% recovery rate, and I just gave you the CDC numbers for children. Yes, children could transmit the disease, although they rarely do, but the parents are all vaccinated if they're good, decent citizens. So I don't really understand the connection, actually.
Are you a good, decent citizen? Are you vaccinated?
right there. That's none of her fucking business.
It's nobody's business whether I'm vaccinated. That's like me asking you the last time you got laid. I mean, it's just irrelevant.
All right. So, you know, what's really relevant is that it's one thing if you have the right to choose for your...
My medical history is not your business, nor yours is mine.
Let Gloria finish.
If you have the right to choose what you should do with your own body, I respect that. But when what you choose to do can be dangerous to others, then we're in a whole different area.
Okay, this is something I never really understood about this whole thing that got spread, that healthy people like me are magically spreading this fucking virus. Now, maybe some of you can be in the comment section and give me a better idea of what exactly that is, because there's two things. I think that's absolute bullshit, and people aren't passing this virus to anybody. It's absolute crap. It's absolute crap, this whole asymptomatic or whatever the fuck is going on. However, okay, let's assume that I'm completely wrong in that, right? And this is happening. And we are spreading it, right? It's a 99.7% survival rate. Who gives a shit, right? You look at the trade-offs on this, and it's absolutely absurd. So we're going to lock down the majority of the world because like 1% of the population is susceptible to this, right? How about if they really gave a shit? They would focus on health and wellness and improving people's immune systems and natural immunity to be able to fight this. So those people who do fall into that category would have a better chance. This is ridiculous. The more wise thing to do would be to maybe put some measures in for that small segment of the population who's susceptible to this, right? I mean, this is absolutely absurd, and none of this makes any sense. And again, what she's saying is so backwards, because if we talk to her about abortion, she would say, my body, my choice. But suddenly now with the vaccine, it's everybody has to get it. You're endangering me.
And so, for example, people are mandated to wear seatbelts when they drive. Why? Because if they get into an accident, it's not only going to be dangerous to them, it's going to be dangerous to others.
What a horrible reference. Irrelevant and has nothing to do with it. Also, driving is a privilege, ma'am. I have to get a license to do it and agree to these laws and show my proficiency in doing it. Totally irrelevant, and that's one of the worst comparisons you could ever make. Idiotic.
People can smoke, knowing the danger and the risks of smoking, but they can't just put secondary smoke into somebody else's apartment or home, or, you know, smoke, you know, in places where it can be very dangerous to other individuals.
Another horrible example.
That's what this is about. And by the way, even for your own choice, if you exercise your choice not to get a vaccine, you get to do that, but you also have to pay the consequences of that. And
what does that sound like? You have to pay the consequences of that. Like, are people actually paying attention to what's coming out of their mouths? Are you kidding me? Who the fuck are you, lady, to tell me there's consequences for not getting a fucking vaccine that I don't need?
Consequences may be that you're not going to be able to have a job anymore. The consequences may be that you're going to end up in the hospital with serious COVID, and you may die, and because you're
Yeah, I have a less than a 0.03% chance to end up with serious COVID and die. And his face is perfect, right? Like, I commend him and other people for getting on here and being cordial enough with them and having the patience to deal with the stupidity spewing out of their mouths. It's just absurd.
Overloading the ICUs in the hospital. People
ICUs are not overloaded. You guys are firing staff because they don't want to get the vaccine. I've gone to a bunch of hospitals in major metropolitan areas like Los Angeles in the peak of the pandemic last year, empty. By the way, hospitals are designed to run at or near capacity, for those of you who don't know. So her argument, stupid.
who need care for cancer or heart disease or other illnesses may not be able to get a bed because you were irresponsible in not getting the vaccine.
Gloria,
Calling him irresponsible for not getting the vaccine. You see how everything resorts to emotion? It's ridiculous.
frankly, it's very obvious to me that you're a progressive, because what lies under every progressive is a really sort of hysterical authoritarian.
Well,
Everyone
that's
is
a
allowed to make
sexist
a decision for themselves.
Now she makes it about sexism. That's when you know you've lost, right? And this is why I normally won't debate people on these topics, because that happens. They get emotional and they start insulting for no reason.
Here, we're in Los Angeles right now. I was just over at the studio that I couldn't get into over there. Which hospitals in Los Angeles are overrun right now?
Yeah, look, let me just tell you something. First of all, you made a sexist remark. Calling a woman hysterical is very, very sexist. So
Okay, Mom.
I think you should stay on the issues instead of engaging in name calling.
She literally name called him and then accuses him of what she's claiming that he did.
Look, we've had surges, we've had ups,
Well, in
we've
essence,
had
you were
downs.
telling me I was
In
gonna kill people,
California,
but all right.
we don't need to wait for the point at which there is a crisis, as is going on in many, many states where there are no ICU.
There's no fucking crisis, lady. The media is a crisis. People like you are a crisis. That's the problem. You fear-mongering puppet.
Beds available, and people have to drive miles and miles to another state to even get an ICU bed. Some people have died before they got there.
The Nordic Track Freestride.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the researchers for this show can show me the videos of all the overrun hospitals that nobody has seen. There's been no pictures of them and no videos of them. But again, I'm not for people getting sick. I'm for choice. I believe people can make the right medical choices for themselves. I mean, really, if we go down this route, where you have to do things for your health and to make sure that hospitals don't get overrun, there's going to be an awful lot of bad things we're going to have to do to overweight people, because, as you know, being overweight and being diabetic is one of the biggest factors in COVID morbidity.
99% of the people.
Are we suddenly going to say that overweight people should be what? Are we going to force them to diet? Are we going to not give them health insurance?
99% of the people who were in the critical care and the ICU beds are unvaccinated people.
False. That's absolute horseshit. Proven by facts and science. I mean, where's this lady getting her facts? If you follow what the CDC says and all these things being released by the mainstream publications, all this shit doesn't add up and it doesn't make any sense. So what is she quoting when she says 99% of people are, in critical condition are the unvaccinated?
People. That alone should tell you why people need to get vaccinated. And also, children, even if there is a small risk for the younger children right now, they can be carriers and bring it home to their parents.
Here we go with that carrier bullshit again. Unbelievable, man. This narrative is just so out of control that, like, it's literally just a power grab.
Parents and their grandparents and many, many others.
Works?
We've got to protect ourselves.
Do you believe the vaccine works?
This is a pandemic.
First off, I'd like somebody to fact check the 99% of hospitals are unvaccinated.
Well, go for it.
But Gloria, if you believe the vaccine works, so these kids that I would not force, it's up to the parent to decide, how would they be getting the parent sick if the vaccine works and the parents are vaccinated?
Well, because there is still a risk that they can get COVID if they're vaccinated.
Then why the fuck are we going to get the vaccine? God, like, how can anybody buy this bullshit? Unbelievable.
Vaccinated, they are less likely to end up in the ICU and die. Most people who
99.7% survival rate, ma'am.
are unvaccinated have a much higher risk of ending up in the ICU and dying.
Let me put
Okay. That's it for that, right? I just think at this point, this whole thing is completely blown out of proportion. And that interview, and I don't really watch most of them because most of them are like that, right? Like, you know, I could sit there and be civil with somebody. I'd love to get on the air and just piece those people apart in a very civilized manner, because I could if I needed to, you know, wear my suit, not cuss and all that. But just watching it, it makes me laugh, dude. Like, this is so illogical that it's just unbelievable. But leave your comments below, and let's see what you guys think, because we need to do something to stop this shit. Because if we just sit back, we're slowly gonna allow it to get worse and worse and worse and worse. All right, peace.